Hallie is going to start off today in Houston, Texas. Hey, Hallie, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing better than I deserve. How can I help?
Hi. Okay, so I am the marketing manager, and I'm approaching my 1-year anniversary at my family business, which is an IT managed service company. My father and mother have talked to my husband and I, and we've discussed taking over the business when my dad retires. But there's been little clarity on how or when that'll happen, and I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with how the business is right now. So my question is, how can I approach a conversation with my dad to learn if taking over this business will be a good idea relationally and financially, or if it's time to grieve the loss of the picture I had of taking over the business?
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 24.
And how old is he?
My dad?
Mm-hmm.
He is, I believe he's 56.
Okay. So do you think he was planning on doing this in 10 years when he's 66, or do you think he's planning on doing it next month?
Oh, no, it'll probably be longer, probably around the 5 to 10 year range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And how long has he been running this business?
25 years this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is it that you've discovered in your 1 year's experience versus his 25 that he's doing wrong?
So we've been listening to your stuff for a really long time. My parents raised me on the baby steps and everything. And I'm nervous because he's kind of gone away from the debt-free lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how the business is really financially doing, since they're pretty tight on how that information is given out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty much always been on the treadmill stage. There's not a ton of training or really guidance that's been gone on for my husband or my brother, who are the technicians that help him out.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the main things that really concern me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How many people work in the business total?
5. Yeah. 3 technicians, including my dad, and my mom and I are kind of administrative or operations.
So there's no one there that's not family?
Correct.
You have any idea what the revenues are?
I know that whenever in 2020, we were doing almost $500,000, and then we lost about 40% whenever my dad almost passed from COVID. We lost some business while he was in the hospital, and we're still recovering from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the only thing that there's a couple of things we know about successful transitions. One is the more gradual that they are, the more successful they are. So starting now on a 10-year plan is a better idea than starting 2 years before the plan. Okay?
Absolutely.
The second thing we know about this is that it requires a ton of communication, not only between the buyer, in this case you, and the seller, in this case him, but also the rest of the team, and even the vendors, and even the customers need to know what the plan is. Because let's pretend he's 64 and still running this, and your customers don't understand what the plan is when he steps aside. Then they are nervous customers, and you're going to lose some of them. So not communicating the succession plan to your customers is it's bad marketing, okay? And so at Ramsey, we've been very clear about what our succession plan is to everyone. Anyone that will listen, we'll tell them, over and over and over again. We know exactly what we're doing. We've got a game plan. We've laid it all out, and we're in the, I'm in my mid 60s, or my early 60s. So we're in the last few phases of it, right, of what the plan looks like and what's going to happen. In our case, I'll continue to do what I'm doing here on the microphone, but I won't be the CEO anymore in a few years. But in this period of time, this next phase, my son Daniel has become the president of the company, and he and I are running it together. And the 3 Ramsey siblings, including his 2 sisters, are the owners of the company, with the exception of I own the only voting stock. And so, so I'm still in control today, but at any point it'll be easy to flip the switch, and the three of them are in control, in charge, and they're running things. And the customers know that. I just said it on a microphone. The vendors know that. The team members know that. And you know, we know the Ramsey personalities are able to step into the Ramsey show and the other shows that we do and, you know, fill my shoes, including this show. It wouldn't be hard at all, and that kind of stuff. So this is the kind of things you could share with your dad. Look, Ramsey says the more gradual it is, the better off it's going to be, and the more communication there is. We got no plan, so we don't know how gradual it is, and there's been almost no communication because we don't have any idea what's going on over there. I just work here.
Right.
Now, I'm 24. I've been here a whole year, so I don't know spit. And that's your line, okay? But I do need to know, I'm not here to tell you how to do it, but I do need to know where we're going and how we're going to get there, because if you expect me to go along blind for the next 8 years and hope you run it okay, that's not good communication, and that's not good openness.
Right.
It feels weird. And it's not that I don't believe in you. It's not that I don't trust you. But a proper way to do this is lots of communication and lots of knowledge. You need to know all about the financials, and he needs to be training you. And then later on, you need to be involved in the decision on whether we do this thing or don't do this thing. Today, you haven't earned the right to do that, but you have earned the right, if he says he's going to hand it off, to be involved in the communication and for a plan to be laid out. If it's a 10-year plan, that's fine, but just tell me. If it's a 12-year plan, let's talk about it. Or if it's a plan based on certain check marks. In our case, we were not moving Daniel, he's been here 10 years, into a president's role until he had proven competency and until all of our senior leaders checked off on him being the leader. And that proves his competency, not just me. And they did. And so, as a friend of mine said, Daniel was elected president in the elevator, not the boardroom. And so that's your job, is to go be that person, right? You've got to earn the right to speak up. But you, just by your presence and the idea that you earn the right to hear what's going on, you don't really get it. Your advice is not going to be adhered to, and you need to pay honor to his 25 years. Your advice doesn't mean spit after 1 year. There's not a 1 year person on our team that's going to run this place. Okay, we love them, and we're glad they're here, and the expertise you bring to the table is valid, but not for running the whole place. And you can ask questions about, okay, look, you raised me on the Ramsey stuff, and here you are borrowing money. I don't understand how that works. It feels inconsistent to me. Explain it to me, Dad. Now, that's a fair question, okay? But you can't wag your finger and go, we shouldn't be doing that. It's an improper way to run the business. No, you're not in a position to do that at this stage of the game. You're really, really young to the situation. And you're young. So pay honor, lots of honor to the founder, but that doesn't mean you have to honor their misbehavior, but you honor the position, and you can ask a lot of questions. And a lot of people around here have asked me a lot of questions over the years, and I don't consider that belligerence. I consider that wisdom. And I don't mind if a young person that's, challenges, okay, I don't understand how that fits with our core values. Okay, that's a fair question. But the answer to it you might not like, because it might be that you really didn't understand. The answer to some questions is you're wrong. Some questions is you're right. Some questions is you just didn't have all the information. So those are okay questions if they're real questions. But if it's a passive-aggressive statement and you're being belligerent, that's another thing. So you got to be really, really careful to be patient, to lay in a plan, to exert honor. But it's fair to ask for a timeline game plan, a roughed-out timeline of what it's based on. It's fair to ask for communication and openness about the books if you're and then on the purpose of, Dad, mentor me. Show me how to do this. Show me how to do what you've done. What you've done here is an amazing thing. You've grown a business. And if you keep doing it with that approach, you're going to be okay. But, when in doubt, be super humble. Because that's the position you're in.